Hi, and welcome to Mrs. Pam Reads, where we are continuing in the Magic Circle by Katherine Neville. And in our last video, Ariel got a little sassy, should we say. She had a little run-in with the security guard, Bella, and then it became obvious that Bella basically didn't want Ariel spending time with Wolfgang. But anyway, her boss, the pod, stepped in, and she's, I think, running to the post office and then to the plane. So let's get started and see what happens next. All right. I only had 20 minutes to get from my office to the airport, which was a good 10 minutes away, not counting the detour I still had to make. I screeched up to the front of the post office and didn't bother to park. I jumped out of my car and ran up the steps. George, the postal clerk, was behind the counter when I came in, but there were a few people already standing in the queue. George, I have to stop my mail for a few weeks, I called over their heads. I'll just fill out the form, but is it too late to stop it for today too? Oh, Ms. Ben, I'm sorry, said George, weighing and stamping things for other customers. I got to tell you, this was all my fault, but I tried to make it up. Just wait here for a minute, and I'll get it right quick. He tapped a bell on the counter as I got that horrid sinking feeling again. What had gone wrong? What did I need to be made up for by George? What was he going to get for me right quick? I was horribly afraid I knew, but I filled out my form anyway and handed it to him. The assistant clerk, Stuart, came out from the back and started taking slips from those who'd come to collect parcels. George disappeared in the back and returned with a package. It didn't look much like the one I'd received last week, but it was in a large, battered, padded mailing pouch, such as Sam had described, about the size of 2 reams of paper. I gave you the wrong parcel last week, said George. This was the one that matched your yellow claim slip, but I didn't check. That other one came in the very day you was here. We hadn't filled out a slip to you about it yet. This Saturday we was going through packages down here to send unclaimed ones back to the sender, and lucky I was here just then, and I seen my mistake. I sure am sorry about that, Miss Ben. He handed me the parcel, and I gritted my teeth before looking at it. I knew I had only 10 minutes to get to the airport for my flight to Europe with Wolfgang Hauser. I forced myself to look at the package. The postmark was San Francisco, just as the original yellow claim slip I'd found in the snow. And this time, there could be no mistake. The handwriting scrawled across the mailing pouch was Sam's. And that's actually the end of that section, but we're going to keep going. The gift. The danger to giver and receiver, nowhere better sensed than in the very ancient Germanic law and languages. This explains the double meaning of the word gift in all those languages. On the one hand, a gift. On the other, poison. This theme of the fatal gift, the present or item of property that is changed into poison, is fundamental in Germanic folklore. The Rhine gold is fatal to the one who conquers it. Hagen's cup is mortal to the hero who drinks from it. 1,000 stories and romances of the kind, both Germanic and Celtic, still haunt our sensibilities. Marcel Mauss, M-A-U-S-S, The Gift. And then further down it says, when Prometheus stole fire from the gods in retaliation, Zeus told the fabled craftsman Hephaestus to create a gift, to combine dirt and water and form a beautiful maiden, just like the immortal goddess, ... Then Zeus instructed Hermes to fill her full of shameless trickery and deceit, ... Hermes named this female Pandora, she who gives all gifts. Epimetheus had forgotten that his brother Prometheus had warned him never to accept a gift sent by the Olympian Zeus, to return it in case it should prove an evil to mankind. But Epimetheus took the gift. Only later, when the evil was his own, did he comprehend. Hesiod, works and days. And one more. It's in Greek, I believe, but the translation is, I fear Greeks, even those bearing gifts. Virgil, the Aeneid. Okay. Apparently gifts is not a good thing right now. All right, here we go. I fled the post office, jumped in my car, and headed at breakneck pace for the airport. I screeched into the parking lot, jumped out, grabbed my stuff, and tore across the icy drive. Inside, I frantically scanned the 2 gate areas. Down at the end, near gate B security, I saw Wolfgang waving his arms in heated debate with a guy from the ground crew. Thank God, Wolfgang said with relief the moment he saw me, but I could tell he was angry. To the crewman, he said quickly, are we too late? 1 sec, the man said, picking up the phone to call the cockpit, as, behind his back, Wolfgang glared at me. The man listened, then nodded. The steps are still there, but you better hop to it, buddy. We got a schedule. He ran our bags through the scanner and pulled our ticket stubs. We dashed across the tarmac and up the metal steps. The instant our seatbelts had clicked into place, the plane was moving. I hope you have a good explanation for this, Wolfgang said as we taxied toward the runway. You knew there wasn't another flight to Salt Lake for 3 hours. For the past half hour, I've talked and talked to convince them to hold the plane. We might have missed all our connections. What did you think you were doing? My heart, still pounding from that run, was hammering in my ears. My breath came in short, hard bursts. I could barely speak. I had to run an important errand en route. An errand, Wolfgang said in disbelief. He was about to add more, but just then the prop jets started revving for takeoff. His lips were still moving, so I gestured that I could no longer hear him. He turned away in anger and pulled some papers from his briefcase, leafing through them as our plane raced down the runway and gained altitude. We didn't speak again during the smooth but deafening 45-minute flight to Salt Lake. That was okay with me. I had plenty of thinking to do. There was no question. The parcel inside my canvas shoulder bag, now stuffed under my flight seat, was the gift my grandmother Pandora had bequeathed Uncle Ernest, which then passed from him to Sam. A gift so dangerous the body count included not only a few of Sam's colleagues, but maybe Pandora and Ernest as well. A gift so destructive that, given a difference of only seconds, it could have killed Sam too. Now, the gift was mine. Since I no longer trusted friends, colleagues, and most members of my own family to be anywhere near this poisonous parcel, I'd been understandably reluctant, under the eyes of a dozen postal patrons, to leave it with George behind the post office counter. Unable to locate a cache in the scant time left between post office and airport, now I was stuck with the problem of what to do with my lethal inheritance before getting to Soviet Union, where I knew it would be thoroughly examined and probably confiscated, posing greater danger to all concerned, especially to me. I thought she just said she convinced, okay. Under the eyes to leave it with George. I've been understandably reluctant to leave it with George. Okay, so she does have it with her. Okay. With that in mind, my first idea had been to destroy it all. I thought of various methods if I had to dispatch it quickly: death by water, death by fire. But by the time we reached Salt Lake, my options seemed greatly diminished. It was far from practical to flush 1,000 pages down a toilet or to ignite a 10-pound bonfire at any of the airports I'd be passing through in the next 24 hours. Nor was destroying it any guarantee I'd breathe more freely, since I hadn't a clue who wanted these manuscripts or why. How could I announce the object of everyone's desire was no longer on the scene? And if I did, it might prove deadly to Sam, the only one who knew where the original ancient documents were hidden. The solution seemed to be to hide the parcel as I'd done with the first one, where no one would think to search for it. I knew that the lockers at the Salt Lake airport, unlike those where characters in movies stash their loot, worked more like parking lot meters, renting for just a few hours at a stretch. Even if I had time to break the package up into smaller parcels and post it back to myself, it seemed as risky a proposition as just leaving it at the post office. What with Oliver, the pod, and God knew who all else sniffing about the place, I was fast running out of ideas. At the Salt Lake airport, I apologized again to the still disgruntled Wolfgang for my tardiness. Once we'd checked the larger bags through to Vienna, I made a trip to the lavatory and opened Sam's parcel. Strange squiggles in foreign characters, but recognizably in Sam's hand. I stuffed it among the working papers inside my satchel, slung the heavy duffel over my shoulder, and tried to clear my mind until our flight. Before I left the lounge, I used the phone to call a fax 800 number and sent a brief message to Sam. Got your gift. It is more blessed to give than to receive. A message from the Salt Lake airport would clue Sam in that my trip with Wolfgang was underway. I added the tip that any messages faxed in my absence would be forwarded. Wolfgang was waiting for me at the entrance to the cafeteria, as we'd agreed. He was holding 2 steaming paper mugs. He said, "Got us some tea to drink at the gate. It's too crowded to wait here." Over his shoulder, I saw rows of tables already packed, so bright and early with teams of Mormon elders, scrubbed, rosy-cheeked young men who sipped ice water while they waited for their flights, in crisp white shirts, dark suits and ties, their uniform backpacks crammed with, I can't even say it, proselytizing, there we go, materials. Day after day, year in and year out, such young elders were scattered across the globe like dandelion fluff on missions to spread the good word cranked out by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, straight from its heart here in Salt Lake City. They don't convert many Austrians to their faith, Wolfgang said of them as we headed down the hallway to our gate. In so Roman Catholic a country, conversion to new faiths is rare. But in this airport, there are always so many of them coming and going, these young men. To me, they seem quite foreign and strange. Not so strange, just different, I told him, taking the lid off my tea and trying to sip it. It was scalding. For instance, you've met my landlord, Oliver. He's a Mormon, but he's more what I'd call a Jack Mormon. That is, he doesn't follow all the rules. He sometimes drinks coffee or alcohol, though they're prohibited. He sometimes, and while he isn't exactly a womanizer, he says he hasn't remained a virgin either. A virgin, said Wolfgang askance. Is that customary? I assure you, I'm not an expert, I said, laughing. But according to Oliver, it's more or less on a volunteer basis. Keeping yourself pure in body and soul, I mean. It seems that's how they're preparing themselves for salvation at the millennium. And we're going to stop there because we're at 15 minutes. That's good. Okay. Lots going on. I hope you have a wonderful day. And I will see you next time and we'll find out what Ariel's up to. All right.